I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this segment is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express, I'm firmly on the TV diet right now, and so that this is a painful ad read to do for me because I yearn for the sweet embrace of Chicken Express.
I'll tell you who doesn't have to yearn for Chicken Express anymore,
Oh, yeah?
and that's the good folks in Santo, Texas. They can get Chicken Express now as their location open on August 1st. So head on over
Let's
there.
go.
Congratulations, Chicken Express.
Congratulations to Santo. Honestly, congratulations for that community. That's big for that community.
That's big doings.
Like, honestly, some people put state championships on the water tower.
Yeah.
I would put
Chicken Express.
Chicken Express on the water tower.
This is going to be a popular location, I think, on Friday nights.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's the one thing I like. I know the Chicken Express near me. It's open until 10. I'm not telling Chicken Express how to do.
Man, on Fridays you open up till like midnight.
If you were to show up, they were to open up till midnight.
Just on Fridays.
They could just on just home Friday nights.
Home Friday nights,
like,
yeah.
They're to do that. Boy, they could pay their rent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just get that done in one night because I know where I would go. Although I'm busy till 1, and I can't in good conscience ask them to stay awake till 1.
It's always my pregame meal. As a matter of fact, we should contact our friends at Chicken Express. If I can eat Chicken Express every Friday of the season, there has to be some sort of deal there. Could I at least get like a chicken
card or like if they could just send you like, so it's, you don't need it for state championships because state championships
right? Well, it makes it tough.
If they could give you 16 coupons just for like a Chicken Express box, like because you're a number 1 guy, right?
Right.
Get a number 1.
Yeah.
Like you would be instantly happier.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I eat it. I mean, let's be honest. There are a certain amount of the weekends during the season, I'm eating Chicken Express anyway.
Yeah.
But I think I could eat it once a week. Like, I could pull that off.
Yeah.
I
think you could definitely pull that off. Anyway, love you, Chicken Express.
I love fried chicken.
It's fried chicken.
Let's get to This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers and Next Level Athlete. This is a special commitment edition of This Week in Recruiting because we're going to take a look at 10 new Texas high school football commitments.
And we're close to 30.
They're close to 30, so you called it down.
Hashtag Cruton never stops.
These are not the only 10.
Right.
They were close to 30 big-name commitments this week. We've got 10. We're going to start with probably the biggest one, and that is Denton Ryan linebacker Anthony Hill, who we have as our number 3 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100, a DCTF 5-star. He committed this week to Texas A&M, beating out most notably Texas, but apparently also Alabama and Oklahoma there. And yeah, look, there's no doubt, there's no other way of putting this. This is a class-making commitment for Texas A&M.
Yeah, and he's the highest-rated linebacker to commit. Actually, he's the highest-rated linebacker since we started doing rankings at DCTF in 2012. So we've backdated all the rankings up to 2012, and he's the highest-rated linebacker. This is a huge commitment. He's a guy who flat-out gets after the football. Legitimate 5-star. We named 3 5-stars so far, and they were all 3 named at the same time because we couldn't really decide. It's tough now. Who's the best player in the state of Texas this year? Is it DJ Hicks?
Yeah.
Is it Reuben Owens?
Yeah.
Is it Anthony Hill?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a strong case could be made for any of these guys. So Texas A&M, by some accounts, got the number 1 player in the state of Texas when Anthony Hill pulled the trigger on that commitment.
They got at worst the number 3 prospect in the state. Like at worst, they got number 3, which pretty darn good.
Bona fide 5-star talent. Really, I think because he was on the radar so early, I thought there were some that were worried about his approach toward the he handled himself like an adult during this process. Not a lot of splashy, bad headlines or anything out there. I think he got good counseling and guidance from his high school coaching staff there as well at Denton Ryan. And I think he's a big-time addition to the A&M defense that's just I mean, they're loaded up.
Yeah.
Throw in the five defensive linemen that they signed last year. I think 4 of them were 5-star prospects. Throw in a 5-star linebacker on top of that.
Front seven is nasty.
It's going to be great.
Front
in
seven
College
is
Station.
nasty.
Defense is going to be nasty.
Yes, for sure. So that's the big one. Anthony Hill committing to Texas A&M. Let's stay on the defensive side and go to Austin Westlake. Talk about I wouldn't classify Anthony Hill committing to A&M as a shocker. I think that at worst, it was a 50-50 shot.
And I'll say that Texas is not giving up in this. This is this is going to be a battle.
Yeah.
They're going to
until pen meets paper.
Yeah. This is going to be one that goes all the way down to the wire.
Yeah. This I think is a shocker. And it's Austin Westlake defensive end Colton Vasek, who is our number 9 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100. He committed to Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma getting a big-time commit from the state of Texas is not a shocker. What's a shocker is Colton Vasek, who goes to Westlake, and his dad played for UT. This came across my radar, and I was stunned.
I was a little shocked too, but I thought there was a strong chance he didn't end up at Texas. I thought it was a coin flip, right? Mm-hmm. But I thought he was going to commit to Oregon. We talked about it a little bit in the past. Oregon had really done a great job putting their best foot forward in his recruitment. I did not think it was going to be the other side of the rivalry. I know that OU was in that top 3, top 4, and he was strongly considering them. But whenever I saw that news come across while I was on vacation, I was like, wow, this is a huge coup for OU to not only get a guy whose father played at Texas, he plays his high school football underneath of the nose of the UT coaching staff there in Austin, and has led a defense that, maybe the best defense I've seen.
Yeah.
Under the Friday Night Lights.
Time. Yeah, I mean
they were tremendous last year.
Them and 2015 Katie are the two that really spring to mind in recent history.
I think Aiden Hutchinson's a good comparison for Vasek, and I think that he has a chance to follow that roadmap at OU. Wherever he went, he was going to be good, but I think he could be a potential first-round draft pick in the NFL.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You are a recruiting analyst. But Vasek, who we have at number 9, in a lot of other classes, he'd be a 5-star. Like a lot of other classes besides the class of 2023, he'd be a 5-star. That is just, he's number 9 because the depth there at the very top is insane.
We're a little bullish on him too. I don't know that anybody else has him this high in their ratings right now. Maybe there are some rankings out there that do. Of the major services, I don't think that there's anyone else that has him this high. So I'm a little bullish on him. I think that his ceiling is really high. I think he has a great potential to develop into a college star. And what I really loved about his game is that he got better week by week. I think he's a guy who steps on the field this year and blows everybody's socks off. He's the guy who has developed into that guy.
And there was also, for me, in watching him, as the stage got bigger, he played better. Now part of that is just the natural development. He's playing and he's getting better, but and the games are getting bigger as they go. But it struck me that he was a wrecking machine in the title game. He was a wrecking machine in the semifinals, a wrecking machine in the regional semifinals. He built up and he got better as the lights got brighter.
The confidence got better too, and then I think he's peaking on that because I think he maybe had 4 offers when we watched him in the state championship game, and now he's offered by everybody across the country. I think that only is going to make him better.
Yeah. So that's one guy who won a state championship last year. Let's go to another guy who won a state championship last year, and the number 10 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100. Dalton Brooks, the Shiner column athlete, running back, defensive back, plays a little bit of everything for Shiner. He's our number 10 prospect. He committed also to Texas A&M this weekend. And I'll just say this. I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, yeah, he's so great, but he's doing it at the 2A level. Bro, I don't care. You could put him on a 6A roster, and he would be a menace there as well. Dalton Brooks is the real stinking deal. What I'm interested in is where A&M plays him, because I think he could be a star in the backfield, and I think he could also be a star at safety.
That's the way I feel about it, too. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. We get an opportunity to rank him as an athlete. We don't have to say, he's going to be a wide receiver. He's going to be a safety. What I love about Brooks is that he's done it for a long time, right? He's been the best player on his team. He's been the best player. He's the type of player that can win you a state championship at the 2A level. That's what you expect out of a top recruit.
At the very least, he has been the best player on the team for a 2-time state champion, both his sophomore year and his junior year, and figures to be the best player on the team for the number 1 team in 2A Division I this year.
And I love his track numbers too. That translates whether you play at the 2A level or the 6A level. He's around an 11 100-meter dash guy, 22 200-meter dash guy, also competes in the triple jump and the long jump. So all-around athleticism. Another huge pickup for Texas A&M. They got 2 top 10 recruits this week.
Seems good. Good job, A&M. Keep doing what you're doing. It's going well. All right. Let's continue on our 10 commitments that we're highlighting this week here in Texas football today. Let's talk about Dripping Springs quarterback Austin Novosad.
I'm going to catch some grief. I know it's not a new commitment.
Who committed to Baylor. He had technically been verbally committed, but he at least shut down for now the whispers that he was looking elsewhere, because I know he had gone on some visits to A&M, Notre Dame, Ohio State most notably, but he recommitted, let's say, to Baylor and kind of doubled down and said, no, I'm staying at Baylor. There were a lot of rumblings that he was going to flip. When Ohio State gets involved in a quarterback situation, you feel like that they're going to win that out. But give a lot of credit to Baylor; they're able to hold on to him at least for now.
Yeah, and A&M, I think, probably thought that they had a really good shot at securing a commitment from him as well. They offered him right around the time of State 7-on-7, where we bumped him up to the number 32 prospect in the state here in DCTF 4-star status. This is the marquee recruit for Baylor. They could get someone rated higher than him in the top 100, right? They could get a top 5 prospect, a top 10 prospect. If they do, I still think this is the guy that they needed. As I assessed their class last year on National Signing Day, I thought the one key piece that they were missing was a quarterback in that class. But they softened that blow because they had already gotten a commitment from Novosad.
Yes.
If they would have lost him, I think it would have really I don't want to say the wheels would have fell off, because they'll do what they do. But there wasn't a guy that they could just go out and replace him with.
It would have been crisis mode there for the class of 2023 for Baylor.
It was going to be transfer portal time, I think. There's not a guy in the state that you could have replaced him with, and I don't know out of state how much traction they could have gotten this late in the process with some other guys. Yeah.
That's a really big news there for Baylor. They're able to hold on to Austin Novosad. Now, I'll ask you a question. Now, he had some quote that I believe he gave to 24/7 that, he said basically why he's sticking with Baylor and stuff like that. He did leave the door open a little bit, saying, like, unless something crazy happens, I don't see it. Do you think this is done and dusted for Baylor?
Well, I think that something crazy happening is a coaching change.
Yeah.
Right? Or they take another quarterback.
Yeah.
With them, or that's what I see as something crazy happening in that recruitment. It's not often that you make an early commitment to a team, get all these other offers, really assess your situation, and then issue a recommitment.
Yeah.
And then don't plan to sign.
That's very true. I think that's absolutely.
He doesn't strike me as that type.
I agree.
He's very contemplative as he went through this process.
Let's continue. Let's go on the other side of a rivalry. Baylor got a big commit from a quarterback, and TCU got a big commit from a running back. Round Rock Stony Point running back Cameron Cook committed this week to TCU, the number 42 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100. This is a guy who is a true all-purpose back. They get him the ball in a variety of different ways, and he makes things happen. This has got to be close to the highest-rated prospect in the TCU class for Sonny Dykes, right? It's got to be. This is a real important get, I think, for TCU.
Savion Carter, he's number 25. Mm-hmm. Cameron Cook is number 42. 2 4-stars. Cordell Russell at number 53. I mean, any other year he's a 4. Like he's a 4-star.
Yes.
Type of
4-star talent. We put dumb rules on this.
I know. I'll stand by the rules, and just to reassess for those listening, the rules are top 5 prospects in state 5 stars, next 45 rounding out the top 50 4 stars, corresponding recruits within the top 300-ish are going to be 3 stars in the state of Texas. Maybe a little bit more than 300 most years. Yeah. And this year is really loaded. But Cameron Cook, I love Cameron Cook. This is a guy who everybody knows is getting the football. Mm-hmm. And no one can do anything to stop him. Yeah. He is super – greased lightning is the way I would describe his game. And he's hard to tackle, he's hard to catch, and he's a great pass catcher as well. So he's a very well-rounded all-purpose back, and I think he's really going to fit into that offense tremendously in Fort Worth.
big get there for Sonny Dykes and company getting the commitment from Cameron Cook. Should be a dynamic playmaker for the Horned Frogs. Let's continue. Still in the top 50 here. Number 46 in the DCTF Hot 100, Cy Woods defensive tackle Terrance Green. Here's a guy who has certainly been on the rise. He's been a guy who has not been number 46 forever, I believe. He's been pretty quickly on the rise. And in the end, Cy Woods defensive tackle Terrance Green is going to be wearing green and gold up there in Oregon as the Ducks bring in Cy Woods defensive tackle
I think
Terrance
they're
Green
and yellow.
I
think gold is a stretch.
I was actually gonna say like great knowledge to just rattle off green and gold because I don't think gold. You know,
no, it's definitely yellow. They're too bright. You can't say gold.
It's green and yellow. I apologize. It's green and yellow.
Boom! I know my colors.
Green and yellow.
So we both had a shadow of a doubt, but I wasn't going to say that you were wrong.
I will call you out.
Pickle was.
They're definitely green because they're Ducks.
Yes.
But anyway, Terrance Green rather, go from Cy Woods heading to Oregon. This is a nice commitment here for the Ducks.
Love his potential upside as well. A long arm defensive. He plays a lot of defensive end. I think he probably is going to end up being like a strong side defensive end / defensive tackle. But he can play offensive tackle as well because he has that rare length that's needed to play that position. And I say just get him on campus, figure it out later. But Oregon is historically, although they've been through different coaches as they've done this, they have recruited these bigger jumbo defensive linemen and let them stick on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe that's played a part into his decision-making process. But Oregon, certainly a school that was high for Green for a long time, and he just went ahead and pulled the trigger on that commitment.
Good get there for Oregon. Let's continue talking about the big commitments this week. The number 67 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100 is Cedar Hill linebacker Kylan Salter. This is a guy who was the linebacker MVP at the Next Level Athlete, the Texas Top 100 Showcase in Dallas. He is now a TCU commit, staying local as well, heading over to Fort Worth. And 6'1", 205. This is a guy you want first off the bus, basically.
Yeah, he's a scary-looking dude.
I was going to say, I always remember
jacked.
your interview with him, and I was like, Powers looks like a pipsqueak next to that kid.
Yeah. He is jacked. And he was.
I don't buy that he's 205.
You know, it's tough to believe, but he's just so well put together. Yeah. I can tell you. I mean,
that's muscle.
Let me tell you. I can give you the exact.
He's got to be
no
like
body
0.3
fat.
body fat. You know what I mean?
This was his January exact height and weight. And we had him at 6'1", 205.
He's
on the dot.
Shredded. And this guy.
That's crazy.
This is the guy you want first off the bus. He looks the part and he plays the part too.
Yeah, and I think that he's had a setback for this season with a little bit of an injury, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get back on the field this year. But he was the marquee player in a Cedar Hill defense that I think was going to be their calling card for this. They need to play great defense to compete in that district. And they have to reset some things on offense, so they were going to lean on that defense. And this was a big commitment for Sonny Dykes because you know who has a pretty good relationship at Cedar Hill? Joey McGuire at Texas Tech. So to beat out Texas Tech for Salter's commitment is a big deal. And I think that as he transitions into college, he could be that inside linebacker who can play sideline to sideline for them. He's on the Cedar Hill 4x1 and 4x2. That kind of tells you what I mean.
Which is not easy to crack.
Note to the fans out there, Cedar Hill's track team, they're fast.
Pretty good, yes. So keep an eye on him.
Breaking news here on TFT.
Kylan Salter heading to TCU. Let's continue our commit palooza here. Let's go with what I would categorize as the steal of the week.
Okay.
And that is Oregon State has landed a commitment from the number 71 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100, Montrel Hatten, the Carthage wide receiver. I love this kid. You know how I am. I want to watch high school football games and be like, who's the best player on the field? Montrel Hatten, in pretty much every game Carthage played last year, maybe outside of the China Spring game with Major Bowden, was the best player on the field. And certainly looked the part. This is I think for Oregon State, who's done a sneaky good job coming into Texas and plucking some guys. Jalen O'Neal, I believe, is committed from Manville. Last year they got Damian Martinez from Louisville. They get another they kind of swoop in and grab another one in Montrel Hatten.
A kid who does everything at Carthage, right? He's first team all district basketball. He's their best offensive player. He's their best track athlete, probably, maybe. I mean, I don't know I don't know all my track information, but I would assume that Montrel Hatten is pretty good there.
Yeah.
I just love what he does, on the field. He's a guy who can high point the football really well. He's like one of those receivers that kind of lulls you to sleep as a fan, right? Like you don't expect to see him or don't necessarily notice all the great things he's done. Then you look at the stat line and he's caught, 7 passes for 180 yards, mossed someone and, outdistanced someone to the end zone for 2 touchdowns. So that's the type of player Montrel Hatten is. And Carthage players, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they are pretty good. They're well coached, and he's going to be a problem. I think that's awesome for the Beavers to get.
We've
to
literally
get
been going from Baylor to TCU up to Oregon and then back down.
Well, let's go back to TCU.
Okay.
We listed them in order. We listed them in order of
DCTF ranking.
Yes, I'm just saying they're on the recruiting trail hard right now.
TCU gets their 3rd commitment in the top 72.
Yeah.
As DCTF number 72 prospect Dickinson cornerback at Vernon Glover. Who was the MVP at the ESPN Elite Underclassman camp in Houston. He has committed to TCU as well. This is your number 1 cornerback. Plain and simple.
I wanted to roll highlights of Glover at Dickinson in particular because sometimes it's hard to encapsulate how good defensive backs are. Mm-hmm. I love his stickiness. Mm-hmm. He really hangs with receivers tightly. It's hard for them to get steps on him. I really like his ability to turn his hips and get up the field. He's plenty fast. Mm-hmm. Good size. You'll see him listed anywhere from 5'11 to 6'1". I think we officially had him at 5'11", so he has good size for a cornerback prospect. Dickinson's going to let him get after the ball carrier a little bit and move him around to do some different things. But a true cornerback prospect who will have to cover some pretty good receivers in the Big 12. And I think this is a pretty monumental commitment for TCU because this is a guy who had Texas and other, major offers across the country. So this is a pretty big deal for this commitment. And he was a little bit lower rated than the other 2 guys, but I think the level of importance is there with this grab.
Let me tell you what I like about his highlights. There's a couple things. One, I think that you're right. He's a guy who plays faster than maybe his laser time would tell you. He's a guy who his skill set kind of overcomes what is good speed, but not elite jaw-dropping speed. But the other thing I like about this, on this highlight, we've already seen 4 special teams plays.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Sonny Dykes is going to, probably as a freshman, he's going to be out there on special teams as a playmaker because he's obviously got that skill set. And sometimes, especially for guys who are prospects, it can be hard. It can be hard to to get guys to buy in on special teams. No getting him to buy in on special teams. He is a guy who wants to get after it. So Vernon Glover, the Dickinson cornerback, rounds out a really nice week for TCU. Speaking of rounding out really nice weeks, let's round out this really nice week of this week in recruiting by rounding out a really nice week for Texas A&M as they pick up, I think, an under-the-radar prospect here in Atascocita defensive tackle Samu Tamanu Pepe. Did I get right?
Good job.
Tamanu Pepe.
Okay, I'm going to give myself a B+. Tamanu Pepe.
I really love that.
He's a DCTF 3-star. He is in the DCTF top 300. Here's a guy who got it basically an insta-commit. He got the offer from A&M. He committed, said it was his dream school. Here's what he's got. 6'3", 280, and you can't teach that up front. The defensive tackle, Samu Tamanu Pepe. And by the way, Atascocita's got a pretty good history of putting out big boys in the trenches.
Yeah, and this is a commitment that I think we look back on potentially, and it's going to be feast or famine.
Yes.
Right? This is either going to be a huge coup. They were able to find this giant defensive lineman that no one else in the state was super hard on, and were able to pull a shocking commitment, and he's going to be a beast, right? Or he can't get in playing shape and doesn't get a play. That's the question mark, I think. I think they saw when he visited campus on July 30th, he's put in the work this offseason. And that's not only good news for Samu, that's good news for Atascocita.
Oh, yeah.
Because this guy can be a huge difference maker in their program. And he's already pretty good, right? He's already a guy who we know about. He's already been making plays. Our guys at Texan Live probably love to say his name on air every weekend.
Tamanu Pepe.
Yeah. But I think this is a high ceiling commitment, right?
Well, and let me tell you, I don't want to tell you how to do your job out there, Texas high school football fans. But if you just want to follow around Atascocita for the first couple of weeks, they open against Dickinson, so you can go see Vernon Glover, and then next week they're playing at Katy. So right then, get a snoot full of Dickinson early.
And if you're
season.
not in the area, you can watch it all on TexanLive.com.
Wow!
There you go.
Pickle, I just put it on the tee.
Yeah, and I drove that thing
swing the
350
baseball
yards
bat.
down.
I
I was going to go golf.
T-ball.
I feel
no.
bad
Wrong.
for not putting Samu's highlights now on this. If you're a fan of high school football recruiting, Texas A&M, go to his DCTF profile and watch his junior highlights. This dude, I mean, he's destroying kids.
Yeah.
He's destroying kids. It is really fun to watch. I mean, he's massive first and foremost. You know he's playing at the 6A level, so the guys he's going up against are big as well. But I'm going to embed it. I'll embed his profile into this article. This week in recruiting, I'm going to embed his profile now so you can go watch his highlights. They're a blast.
A guy who's always embedded with us. He is Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. He has fine work on TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, stick around because I need you to introduce our guest.
I'll be here.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.